So guys, when it comes to investing, I think most of us can pinpoint that exact moment where the light bulb turned on for us. When we caught that initial investing bug. For me, that moment did not happen until sometime in my mid-20s, but the seeds were planted much earlier. I do not remember exactly how old I was, somewhere in my teens, I think, but at some point my parents had set up custodial accounts for myself and all of my siblings. Now, a custodial account is basically an investment account that an adult manages on behalf of a child until the child becomes an adult themselves and can manage it on their own. And from that point on, every Christmas, every birthday, every Arbor Day, basically any time there was a gift that needed to be given, we were not getting Grand Theft Auto or anything like that. We were getting money for our Charles Schwab accounts, which quickly became a running joke in our family. Money that you cannot actually spend is probably like the least exciting gift that you can get as a kid, as I am. Sure, you could imagine it is right up there with like a gift card to the podiatrist's office, so we would always give our parents a hard time about it, and they would always respond the same way. They would say, someday you will be glad that we did this for you, and sure enough, they were right. But it took a long time for me to understand that even as I entered young adulthood, investing was very, very low on my list of priorities. I remember a point in my early 20s when my roommate at the time started putting some money into Acorns. This is when investing apps were still relatively new. This was definitely like the pre-Robinhood days, and I thought it was a cool idea, but I still did not really get investing yet. I knew I had the Schwab account, which for some reason still felt uninteresting to me, but Acorns was automated. The app was super sleek. It was modern, and maybe because of that, something about it just felt cooler and maybe a little bit easier to use. So I ended up putting a bit of money into it. Myself at the time, though, I was working a low-wage job. I was, paying rent, spending hours at the gym every day, and going out to the bars on the weekends, normal early 20 stuff, so I really did not have much money to dedicate to it. My contributions were sporadic at best, and really investing more than anything else was just an afterthought. Fast forward just a few short years, though, and everything completely changed. In my mid-20s, a few years after the Acorns era, I had a job that, to be honest, made me miserable. I was working practically every day. I was not getting paid nearly enough, at least in my opinion, I was not, and I just was dealing with constant stress. And when I look back on that period, it was probably honestly one of the unhappiest periods of my life. During that time, I was rarely in a good mood. I really was not a lot of fun to be around at all. I knew it then, but I feel okay saying it out loud now. With the benefit of hindsight, and just with enough time that has passed, that I was probably dealing with some level of depression. I mean, that job really did a number on me. I do not remember exactly where I saw it, but at some point I had come across a quote from Warren Buffett, and I probably did not even know who he was at the time. But it was that classic quote of his where he says, if you do not find a way to make money in your sleep, you will work until you die. And given the situation I was in, that hit me like a freight train. I remember thinking, there is no way in heck I am going to be working this job for the rest of my life. If that was going to be my destiny, I honestly was not going to make it very long, but that was the spark, guys. That was the moment where I feel like the switch flipped for me, and investing stopped being this stuffy, boring thing that my dad would always try and tell me about. Instead, I finally started to understand why people invest. You do it so you do not have to work. If you do not want to, you invest to gain ownership over your time and over your life. Investing is the exit strategy, and for me, investing became this sort of light at the end of the tunnel, and I think that few decisions in my life have had a bigger impact than the decision to start investing and take it seriously. I started getting serious about investing around the same time the pandemic hit. I was home a lot. I definitely was not going out much, and suddenly I had all this time to learn how it all works, because at that point, I really had no idea what I was doing. So I did what most people do to learn about things these days. I went to YouTube, and that is where I was first introduced to the world of retail investing. The more I started to watch and learn, the more it clicked. Dividend investing really just made sense to me, and being new too. All of this stuff, I had no prior experience. This dividend investing thing was really easy for me to wrap my head around. All you have to do is buy shares of recognizable everyday companies like Procter and Gamble, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, McDonald's, Starbucks, Microsoft, and just by owning those shares, they send you regular paychecks. And the idea of getting paid just for being a shareholder made my exit strategy from this job crystal clear. All I needed to do was build up my dividend income to the point where it exceeded the money that I was making from my job. Because at that point, once I was able to check that box, it was like, I do not even need my job anymore because I have all this passive income coming in, and the way that it works. The way that it grows made sense too. You start small, you just elect the dividends, and then you reinvest those dividends. Now you own more shares, and then the next time those companies pay you, the dividend is a little bit bigger. And if you just repeat that process over and over again, basically into perpetuity, it compounds into something substantial. The hard part, I think, for most people is at the very beginning when you are first getting those initial dividend payments, and it is only like a couple dollars here, maybe it is a few cents there. I think it is easy to feel like it is going to take forever to reach a point where you are actually generating a meaningful amount of income. Fortunately for me, though, I was already pretty comfortable with this idea of delayed gratification, which is the name of the game with this dividend investing stuff, because I was already into health and fitness. I had been into working out and weightlifting since, after high school, and a lot of those same principles translate perfectly to investing. I mean, you do not walk into the gym on day one and immediately start benching 225. You start with the bar and you build it up from there. And building a dividend portfolio is the exact same thing. It is all about small, consistent progress over time. And now at this point, I have basically been investing for just over 6 years. And during that time, I have gone from basically zero in dividends to now averaging close to $400 every single month. And because of the power of compounding, it is only going to grow faster from here. I remember back in 2020 when I graduated right into the middle of a global mess, I was sitting in my bedroom looking at a portfolio that was worth maybe a few $1,000s. I was driving a 2006 car that sounded like a lawnmower, and I had zero Nitcher in my apartment because I was pouring every single cent I had into VO and VTI. People thought I was crazy. They would ask me, why are you not buying a new couch or going out to dinner? I would tell them I am buying my freedom one share at a time. Today, that portfolio has grown to $124,560. That is not a flex. It is a fact. It is a result of VOO dollar cost averaging into broad market index funds while everyone else was chasing the newest meme coin or trying to time the market. I was just sticking to the plan. I was buying when the market was up, and I was buying even more when the market was down. That is the difference between a gambler and an investor. The gambler wants to get rich by Friday. The investor wants to be wealthy for a lifetime. You have to realize that the bank is not your friend. Your savings account with its 0.01% interest rate is a trap. Inflation is eating your money alive while you sit there feeling safe. The real risk is not the stock market. The real risk is doing nothing. The real risk is staying in that soul-crushing job for the next 40 years because you were too scared to take control of your capital. Over the handful of years that I have been doing this now, investing really has taught me a lot, not just about money, but about life as well. And if there is anything that I think should be taken away from my journey so far, it is this: number one, you do not have to be a genius to be an investor. You do not need a finance degree. You do not need to be a Wall Street analyst. If I can figure this stuff out and make it work, then truly anyone can. I was just a kid who graduated in 2020 into the worst job market in decades. I did not have a trust fund or a secret tip from a congressman. I had a laptop, a YouTube account, and the discipline to keep hitting the buy button every 2 weeks. The second thing is that this is one of those things that just gets better the longer you do it. If you can stay disciplined and consistent over time, you will be rewarded. I say this all the time, but dividend investing really is the gift that keeps on giving. It has completely changed my life just in the handful of years that I have been doing this. I mean, not only am I financially better off, but it has also changed the way that I think about life. I think most people think investing is about hoarding dollars just for the sake of having more money. They think it is primarily driven by greed, but investing is really about, once again, having total ownership over your time. It is about being able to do what you want when you want. I think at the root of it, that is what all of us are after on this journey. It is complete freedom, and investing is a means to that end. We only get one shot at this life, and I believe it is too short to spend it doing things you do not enjoy just to make ends meet instead of doing the things you actually want to do because your needs are already taken care of. Think about the last time you had to ask for permission to take a vacation. Think about the last time you felt that pit in your stomach on a Sunday night because Monday morning was coming. That is what we are fighting against. That $124,560 in my account is not just a number. It is 124,560 reasons why I do not have to say yes to things I hate. It is the ability to walk away from a toxic boss or a dead-end project. Still, with that said, financial freedom is not something that you can achieve overnight. You'll have to spend some time doing things that you do not like, at least for a period of time, but financial freedom is something that anyone can work toward. And I think everyone should start as soon as possible, even though it starts off slow. Do not let that deter you. The snowball really does pick up, and it starts rolling a lot faster than you think. When I look at my spreadsheets and I see the progress from 2021 to 2022, and then the massive jump in 2025 and 2026, it blows my mind. The growth is not linear, it is exponential, but you never get to the exponential part. If you quit during the linear part, you have to survive the boring years. You have to survive the years where your portfolio goes down and your friends are making fun of you for being frugal. I spent years living like a college student long after I graduated because I knew what I was building. I was building a machine that prints money. I was building a future where I am the boss of my own life. So if you are sitting there right now with a few $100s in your bank account wondering if it is even worth it, let me tell you, it is. Start small. Buy one share of VOO, buy one share of SHD, reinvest every single cent of those dividends. Do not buy the new iPhone. Do not buy the fancy car to impress people. You do not even invest in yourself and invest in your future. All you have to do is just get started and just keep going. Do not wait for the perfect market conditions. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is right now. I am telling you this as someone who has been in the trenches. I have felt the stress of the corporate world and the fear of a stagnant bank account. But I also know the feeling of waking up and seeing that a company like Microsoft or Pepsi just sent me a paycheck for doing absolutely nothing. That is a feeling you cannot buy at a luxury mall. That is the feeling of winning the game. And if you want to see inside my entire dividend stock portfolio, then check out this next video right over here. In this one, I will be going through every single position in my portfolio, and I will be breaking down its performance, its weighting in my portfolio, and how it fits into my overall investing strategy. I will show you exactly how I managed the $124,560 and what my plans are for the next $100,000. We are going to look at the yields, the growth rates, and the diversification across different sectors. So click right over here to learn all about that. I will see you guys in the next one. Stay disciplined, stay consistent, and keep building that snowball because nobody is coming to save you. You have to build your own safety net. Have to be the architect of your own freedom. Let us get to work and make this happen together. Peace out, guys.